Shalom, shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all honor and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Makakwadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of the Great Millstone, and peace and salutations to the elect of the nation of Israel. Start up with the 144,000, which will be the ruling governing body in the kingdom of heaven, which the 144,000 will be all men. And also to a lot of the 1/3 here in America, which should be believers, which should be men, women, and children that will be saved on this side. 2/3 of our people will be destroyed. You also have the rebels that are scattered abroad that will be destroyed, and you have the elect that are scattered abroad that will be saved, who the world ignorantly and willingly calls black, Hispanic, Native American, Puerto Rican, Dominican, Jamaican, Haitian, Guatemalans, Panamanians, Cubans. We are the Israelites. Contrary to what people want to believe, I'm your brother Yeromia. Come back at y'all one of the lesson. It's a little different lesson. As y'all can see, I have this movie on the screen, right? That's being shadow banned heavily in America right now, man. Is it a surprise to us? No, because this is what Esau has always done. He's always hid stuff, man. But you know, we in a time to where everything is being exposed, and you know, everything is being brought to the light, you know, and we don't need Esau to do anything, you know, because either way, you know, let me get this in let me get 2 Corinthians real quick. 2 Corinthians 13, right? In verse 8 it says, "For we can do nothing against the truth but for the truth," you know. And like I said, Esau, he ain't stopping anything, and he ain't making anything move, really. It's the Lord doing it. It's Yahweh Shai making him do what he does, whether it's good or bad, which, you know, he's the wicked, so it's mainly bad things that he's doing, right? But this movie, you know, it's about this Jake. I haven't seen it, but I just know, you know, the summary of it. But as y'all can read it, I'll just read the summary of it. I'll read the plot. It says a Chicago gang leader named Malik, which is Omar Epps, that's the Jake that plays the lead role, seeks revenge for a friend's death, but begins to question his violent lifestyle after receiving an icon of Saint Moses the Black and experiencing visions. So basically, he started having visions of you know, the prophet Moses, man. you know, after, you know, his friend's death, as it says. And you know, in the movie, he's Moses. You know, he basically, I believe he changes his life around, if I'm not mistaken. And you know, because he received that picture, right? But in the movie, I'm gonna play the trailer. You know, fair use, and all that. I need to start putting that in my lessons, Lord willing, because I see elders and stuff do it, so they won't get the videos taken down and on all the different, you know, stuff. But they basically, you know, you can't see this. It's out right now, but you can't really see it at no theater because I've been hearing that they've been pulling it from the movie theaters, right? Or they've been like lying to people at different movie theaters across America, saying that they don't even have the movie, or if they do have it at a movie theater, it's only been out for like what? When it come out, let me go to came out like today's the 6th. It came out a couple days ago, and they're not even gonna be playing it that long at certain movie theaters. It's only at select movie theaters. That proves this man is the devil, and that proves that this is the truth as far as, you know, what the men of the Lord look like. Because why are you trying to hide it? Why are you telling the movie theaters to not play it? Or why are you telling the workers that work there to not allow people to see it, right? Because it's, you know, it just came out January 30th, so that was not too long ago. It was like 7-8 days ago. It's only been out for like a week and some days, right? But if this had no recollection to Jake at all, as far as Moses, not the wicked stuff like him being in the gang, you know, why not play it everywhere? You know, I haven't seen no commercials for this on TV. I ain't heard nothing about it on the radio. I don't even know how many people actually know about this movie, right? Because that's how shadow man, that's how hidden it is. I only heard about it, through our brother sharing it. But like I said, I haven't seen it anywhere until like yesterday, the day before. When I seen a brother share it, right? When I'm not sure how many other brothers or elders know about this movie, but it obviously, lets you know that the prophet Moses, which is Marshal, I believe in the Hebrew, right? He's a man of color, and all the prophets are, man. So that's one of the main reasons why they don't want to show this movie, even though it's the plot is it's weird, but it's not a surprise. It's Esau, even though it might say it's produced by 50 Cent. Hey, that nigga is controlled by Esau, man. He ain't doing what he doing unless Esau say it's okay, man. Because you got to remember, right? Job 9:24, right? And that nigga has produced a lot of TV shows, which a lot of his TV shows are about the same thing. It's about gangs and violence and drugs. A lot of his TV shows are. And that's what Esau wants to push out. I mean, yeah, I've watched some of them. So, some of them I have. But I'm not glorifying that. I'm not promoting that. And I wouldn't be mad if they didn't make any more. Because that's not how we're supposed to be as a people, man. Esau knows what he's doing by allowing these movies and shows to be pushed out like that. Because he wants that to be in your mind, right? He wants you to continually to be in that mindset of killing each other, man. Because, all these shows about Jake, so-called black and brown people, being involved in gangs and drugs and stuff like that, it's not a good thing. It's a bad thing, right? And he knows it's only really, you only really destroying your own people. You ain't, you can't touch Esau like that. He's the one that's supplying you and destroying your mind and everything, right? And he's got it so controlled to where you killing each other. And that's a part of the curses, but that's why he's allowing these different types of shows and movies to keep coming out with Jake doing these things. And it happens in real life, as we know. Art imitates life, right? He wants to keep being in that mindset of doing those things. He don't want you to get out of that, man. This is Job 9:24 says, the earth is given into the hand of the wicked. He covereth the faces of the judge thereof. If not, wherein who is he? Right? And when you go to any other movies where it talks about, men in the scriptures, most of them they look like pale people, right? Do they not? There's plenty of different biblical movies. There's matter of fact, there's another movie. Let me see. This movie, right? It's about King David, but look how they got him. They got him as a damn so-called white man, and he's not white. Which white people really don't exist, but that's another topic for another day. He don't look like that. How you gonna say Moses? You basically admit that in that other movie, Moses the Black, but you got this other movie that came out a few months ago that's in theaters right now, and you got him looking like a damn Edomite, a white person, right? It's like he's playing with you. He's playing with your mind, Jake, and that's what this man has been doing the whole time, right? And this is a perfect example of Job 9:24, right? King David was a judge, right? And if you might as well say he said the Messiah looks like this. He said the angels look like this. Even the Heavenly Father, Yahweh himself, looks like this. So now all of a sudden you got this movie, with you basically letting the world know that Moses is a man of color, and he has some type of recollection to Jake, which really, in my opinion, I'm speaking as a man, right? I think that movie, Moses the Black, with him being like a gang leader or something, I think it has something to do with, Esau trying to stir up Jake, taking up arms and fighting against him so he could destroy Jake, right? Because, you've had these things in the past to where, it reminds me of them trying to demonize us as well, right? Because you got a lot of niggas in that spirit, man, that's in this truth, that know the Israelites, that do want to do that. So that's what I think that they're doing by coming out with this movie, but they also trying to shadow ban it because it's telling the truth, right? Of us being connected to those people or those of us descended from those people. Why, but we're not even black. We're Israelites, man. Black is the term that you put on us, right? But let me get 2nd Ezra 6. 2nd Ezra 6 real quick. Salakia. I forgot what verse it is. 2nd Ezra 6 and I'll get verse 27. It says, "For evil shall be put out, and deceit shall be quenched." Right? Which are this man's false philosophies, his different weird doctrines and ideologies. They're all being put out, man. This man is being exposed on a high level. Right? Verse 28, it says, "As for faith, it shall flourish." Right? Right? This truth, us know who we are. Right? Corruption shall be overcome. And you changing the images and you changing the whole message of our book, that's corruption. It's being overcome, man. The elect is waking up in this time. And the truth, which had been so long without fruit, should be declared. Because like I said, the fact that you came out with that movie and you even made it, you're admitting, that it's the truth. You are, as far as, what he looks like, even though that's not the plot necessarily. And then they made it something weird. And then that's what Esau does with everything. He twists everything. Right? It said, which had been so long without fruit shall be declared. This being declared, right, through his men, right, through the elders and apostles of Great Millstone, teaching the truth. Not necessarily through your movies, but, you do tell the truth on movies and TV shows sometimes. Right? But that's the main reason why they shadow banning it, because it exposes, who the real men of the Lord are. They're Jakes, and they're not just any Jake, because you have an elect. A lot of our people in this time are wicked, and they're gonna be destroyed. Right? It also made me think of that movie that came out, I believe, almost 3 years ago now, The Book of Clarence. I went to go see it, and I believe other brothers did too. Right? In that movie, I think that movie was produced by Jay-Z or something like that, or directed by him. But as in that movie, all the disciples and all the people of the Lord was Jakes. They was people of color, brown people, because we're not black. That's the term that Esau puts on us. Right? That's why he calls us black Hebrew Israelites. That's, that we're not black. Right? If you look up the word black and you use it to describe anything, it's always a negative connotation or meaning to it. Right? It's not a good thing. That's why they also got him being as a gang leader and trying to get revenge and rise up. No, man. And it has nothing to do with the actual story of Moses, man. Moses wasn't no damn. It kind of made me a little irritated. Moses wasn't no damn gang or nothing. Man, come on now. You see the connection. It's always, they're not going to ever paint Jake in a good light. They're going to always paint you as the bad guy when it's really this guy. Right? Because what does it say? It says starring Omar Epps as a Chicago gang leader who finds religion after being inspired by the story of the 4th century Saint Moses, the Black. Which Moses was an Israelite, right? From the tribe of Levi. Right? So how is it inspired by that? Which I think they're trying to say that because if you understand what happened with Moses in the scriptures, right? We were in the Egyptian captivity, right? And he seen one of the Egyptians, taking out one of our people, and he slew the Egyptian. It says that. Let me see if I can find that real quick. That's in the book of Exodus, right? I haven't let me see. I haven't read it in a while, but yep. So it's talking about the life of Moses a little bit. So I read it, Exodus chapter 2, verse 10. It says, and the child grew, and she brought him unto Pharaoh's daughter, right? Because it says, and he became her son, and she called his name Moses, and said, because I drew him out of the water. And it came to pass in those days when Moses was grown, that he went out unto his brethren and looked on on their burdens, right? Because our people was in captivity. They're the Israelites. And he spied an Egyptian smiting a Hebrew. So he saw, which the Egyptians are Hamites. They're not Shemites. We come from the line of Shem, which Hamites are what you call Africans, right? One of his brethren, he looked this way and that way, so he made sure the coast was clear. And when he saw that there was no man, he slew the Egyptian and hid him in the sand. So he took him out, right? I mean, that's what happened. But there has no recollection to that. They only trying to, they try to make it seem like, Moses was wicked, in my opinion, because that's not, Moses wasn't no damn gang. Moses wasn't no wicked man. This Jake that was a gang leader, you doing all types of wickedness, right? You're selling drugs to your own people. Right, you taking out your own people. Moses, he didn't take out his own people, right? It said Moses was one of the most meekest men in all the earth, if not the meekest man. Matter of fact, let me get that. Meekest. Let me see. Yep. It's Numbers 12 and verse 3. It says, "Now the man Moses was very meek above all the men which were upon the face of the earth." So, hey, Moses was humble, man. Moses was willing to learn from the Lord, to do whatever the Lord said, right? He questioned whether he had the ability to do it, not of why he had to do it, but the ability. Because I believe it, Moses was, I believe he wasn't like a good speaker, if I'm not mistaken. And then that's when the Lord corrected him, did I not make, man's mouth and all that? I'm paraphrasing what it says. But the Lord don't care about that. The Lord created everything, even you. The Lord knows your flaws, but the Lord's not worried about that, right? That's how his power is showed, through men, right? Low men that have elements. They don't have everything a lot of times, that aren't the best at everything, so to speak. Now, sometimes the Lord has dealt with certain men that have good physical attributes as far as certain things, but Moses, he wasn't a good speaker, right? But, this also reminds me of other scriptures, man, as far as, let me go to, is it 1 Maccabees 3? Is that the one I want to get? Right? Because the fact that he's hiding this movie, like I said, is basically, what he's always done, going back to Job 9:24, hiding the images, and he don't want the truth to come out. But it's already out. You already made the movie, don't you? You idiot! It's already out. But I mean, it's hidden in a lot of places. But I know about it. So how many other people know about it? And this has always been done throughout time. This man has always done this. He's like the only nation that has done that. That's why it says the wicked, right? He covers the face of the judge of the earth. There's only one nation that's the wicked, and that's Esau, the people who look like Nero, or Trump, that's in the White House. Right, I'm in the wrong verse. Right, it says 1 Maccabees 3:48. It says, "And laid open the book of the law, wherein the heathen sought to paint the likeness of their images." You see, that's what this man has always done, man. He's always done that. Right, he's the only race that has painted over the images, man. You don't see no Chinese or Indian, Messiah. You've always only seen a white one growing up, or a Caucasian description. That's what you've always seen, because those are the wicked people, right? We don't care about how people feel, what they think. It's the truth, right? So, you can't get mad. I mean, you can't get mad at the truth, but hey, it is what it is. Let me get where's the scripture in Galatians? Galatians 4 and verse 16. It says, "Am I therefore become your enemy because I tell you the truth?" Yeah, we your enemies because we tell you the truth. And we are, man. The scriptures say he that departed from evil made himself a prey. Right? Because this world is full of lies, full of corruption, full of wickedness, false doctrine, debauchery, and we get away from it, and he's speaking against this, man. Hey, eventually he gonna come for us, man. And it's true. It's too powerful, so he really can't stop it. But it's gonna come to a point to where we are gonna come to the family of the word. we are gonna come to that point, man. You know, because this truth has went out to the four corners of the earth, man. Because let's go to Psalms, I believe it is. Psalms 10. I forgot where it is. Salakia. Let me see. Salakia. Thought the one I wanted to get was in Psalms. Matter of fact, let me see. Dang, Salaki, I cannot find that scripture. I know it's in the book of Psalms. I cannot think of it right now. Salakia. Yeah, there you go. Psalms 19. I knew it was in Psalms. It had a 9 in it. But this is Psalms 19 and verse 2. It says, day unto day utter of speech, and night unto night show of knowledge. There is no speech nor language where their voice is not heard, right? It's talking about this truth being on the internet. Their line is going out throughout all the earth, and their words to the end of the world, right? And them hath he set a tabernacle for the sun. You see? So, you know, this word has went out, man. You know, you got different Israelite camps. The leaders of Israel, I believe, are up in the GMS, man. That's teaching the 100% truth, right? But like I said, I believe they made this movie to mock, obviously, and to tell the truth, you know. And this proves that they get their let's get 2 Timothy, I believe, 3:16, right? They're inspired. They get their, you know, thoughts and ideas from the Bible, man. A lot of these movies, you know, especially the superhero movies and stuff like that, they get a lot of them from the Bible, man. You know, they know this is the true book, man. Right? This is 2 Timothy chapter 3, verse 16. It says, all scripture is given by inspiration of Yahweh, and is profitable for doctrine, for reproof, for correction, for instruction, and in righteousness, that the man of Yahweh may be perfect, thoroughly furnished unto all good works, man. Right? That's the point of these scriptures, man, for us to be changed into a new man, for us to be repenting daily as Israelites. Right? This book is not everybody's book. This is only for us. Right? But this man has gotten a hold of it and changed the meaning of it and taught it to the people on the earth, man. But the Lord is removing that covering cast. So I feel like, in a sense, he's forced to come out with the truth in this sense, because the last couple of years he's come out with a few movies, man. You had Judas and the Black Messiah, right? That movie came out a few years ago as well. So the last few years they've been coming out with little movies that have been telling the truth, that obviously the people of the Lord are people of color, which is not even about that, because we know we have Israelites that look like colored, that not look like Salakia, look like, you know, other nations. We gonna have so-called Chinese, so-called white people, so-called Indian Israelites, you know, or not people that look like Indians that are Israelites, not actual Indians, right? So-called Japanese, looking Israelites, you know, but they really go back to being Israel, right? Because we've been scattered, right? So, you know, it's bigger than the skin color. That's not what this is about. But a lot of the people in the scriptures are people of color, man. I mean, it's evident, right? And there's no way to get around this, man. You know, so we're not surprised that this man is shadow banning it and hiding it. But, you know, like the first scripture I brought up, you can't hide the truth. It is what it is. You know, the Lord is making the truth be revealed regardless of how you feel about it or what you want to come out. Right? There's all types of different biblical movies, man. You got a movie called Troy with the Spartans and stuff. That was really Jake, so-called brown people, right? Let me see. But this movie, I'm thinking of Ten Commandments, right? He look at them so-called. He's a so-called white man playing. Who was he playing? The Pharaoh or whatever, or he's playing Moses, Salakia, and the Pharaoh looks like a damn so-called white man, but we know that's not the truth. That's not the truth of neither one of those people. They're both people of color. The Egyptians were brown, melanated people as well, but they're Hamites. There's other movies too, but I'm not gonna look up all of them. The point is, this truth is out there, and we're in a time to where things are being revealed. Things are being revealed. This devil cannot stop it. Right? We're in a different time now, man. We're in a different time. Let me see if I can get this. Change times. This is in Daniel 7 in verse 25. It says that he shall speak great words against the Most High. Right, and that's what he's done. Telling you that he's a so-called, white man. Telling you that the Messiah is a so-called white man. Telling you that Moses is a so-called white man or other movies. Or King David or other. They're not. They're all men of color. Right? And they shall wear out the saints of the Most High. Right? Which the saints of the Israelites, you go to Psalms, I believe 50 in verse 5. It says, and think to change times and laws, and they should be given into his hand until the time of times and the dividing of time. You see? That's what time we in now. There's nothing this devil can do to stop this, man. This truth is the truth, and it is what it is. It is what it is. Right? But I wanted to go try to see this movie, but they had planned, I think, yesterday at like weird times, like 11 o'clock in the morning or 7 o'clock p.m. that you had to this movie right here, Moses movie, the old one. And the Lord got them doing this too, but they're trying to hide it. Remember, man's goings of the Lord, man. Man's goings of the Lord. Eventually, the people on the earth, they will have to accept how the Lord created everything originally, and who the Lord's people are. They're going to be forced to accept it through what? Through judgment, through destruction. Right? This is Proverbs 20:24. Man's goings are the Lord. How can a man understand his own ways? So they probably don't even know why you made the movie, but then you hit it, or you make people not be able to access it and go see it. Right? What's the point of making a movie? Right? That's how you know the Lord is in control, man. You ain't in control. But I didn't want this video to be too long. I just wanted to do matter of fact, I want to look at this review real quick. It says, Moses the Black was one of the worst movies I have ever seen. If you told me this movie was a money laundering or tax beak operation, I would believe you. It's probably it's probably a damn EDOM. It says Orthodox Christianity. And I get it. I don't like the plot, but what you expect, man? It's Esau. Let me see what else this is. Like I said, I believe it's maybe a plot to get Jake to rise up to do something, and it's also like they mock you as well, But this devil, he ain't in control, man. He's the accuser of our brethren. Right, I even heard a damn dumbass, the elder in South Carolina. He did this video. I listened to it. This damn appeared to be, white woman. She could be an Israelite. She said the Israelites was people of color, so-called black. But then she said the Lord is white. If you go to Matthew chapter 1, right, let's go to it. It gives you the genealogy of who he descends from, the book of the generation of Yahushua, Hamashiach, the son of David, the son of Abraham. Then you read on down. right? These people were all these men were prophets, man. You know, and they were all men of color, right? We know who Abraham is. We got Isaac. Isaac begot Jacob. Jacob begot Judas and his brother, right? And then I'm gonna read right here. It says Jacob begot Joseph, the husband of Mary, right, of whom was born Yahushua, who was called Hamashiach. So all the generations from Abraham to David are 14 generations. And from David unto the carrying away into the Babylon are 14 generations. And from the carrying away into Babylon now unto Hamashiach are 14 generations. You see? So these are all people of color, man. They're not pale people, man. They're not so-called white people. They're people of color. You can't say on one hand that some of them were black, but the Messiah was white. No, because he descends. He had a physical body on the earth 2,000 years ago during the Roman Empire, right? You know, and he was made through the act of, you know, a man and woman, you know, doing the do, right? Y'all know what I'm talking about, right? That's it, because ain't no such thing as no damn what they call it, I can't think of the word. You know, Christians believe in that. Divine conception, that might be the word. It might be wrong, but brothers can correct me on that. You know, they believe that the angel, you know, it's some bugged out shit, man. No, man. Joseph and Mary, they had sex to have Yahushua, man. He came through a physical lineage. That's why it lists his lineage or genealogy, because he had an actual earthly father. He just was Yahushua. The Lord put the spirit on him to be Yahushua, you know? So they're all people of color, man. You know, this devil, he gonna hold on to his lies to the end, but you can't. You know, you can try, but you're gonna be destroyed in it. And the Lord's gonna make sure the world knows at the end of all be all when he come back. That's why you have revelations, which means to reveal. That reveals what he really looks like. You know, and it was all a part of the Lord's, you know, movie anyway. You know, but I hope this video was edifying. I'm gonna close out. I want to give all honor and glory to Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahushai, Bahashim, Makakodash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone.